One of the most popular questions I'm asked is, what's the difference between real-life paranormal investigating and what we see on TV? From my time hosting public paranormal investigations and working with new folks in the field, I'm often put in positions where I have to explain that what we see on television isn't accurate to what happens in real life. And yeah, it may be common sense that what you see on TV isn't what is reality, but we never really talk about why it's different. I mean, simply put, paranormal reality television is not a reflection of what it's like in the real world. But before you think I'm a complete hater of paranormal television, I'm not. Paranormal television has played a tremendous role in growing awareness of the paranormal, making it more acceptable, and it has recruited a lot more people to the paranormal community. So it has value. And personally, I've been on 2 shows. Most Terrifying Places in America on Travel Channel. The second one, well, I can't say quite yet, but I will be able to soon. It'll also be on Travel Channel, that's all I can say. It's gonna be hard to not say anything. But yeah. To me, as long as people know the difference between what they see on television and what is real life, we're going to be okay. So here are some of the major differences between the ghost hunting you see on TV and what you may experience out in the field. Before we start, hello my spooky crew, and thanks for coming back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. My name is Alex, and thanks for coming to my spooky corner of the internet. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and click on that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. And you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter at The Spooky Stuff. I post daily paranormal content for your education and entertainment. And finally, if you want more spooky stories, then be sure to hit up my website at thespookystuff.com, and there I also have a lot of ghost hunting resources. All right, let's get started. Oh, before we dive in, guess what I did, everybody? I bought a haunted doll. Yes, her name is Madison, and she should be arriving probably after this video publishes. Hopefully in a few weeks I'll be able to introduce you to her, but if you want to meet her sooner than that, then be sure to follow me on TikTok, because I'll be documenting my journey with Madison primarily on there. I may do a video too after a little bit. We'll see. Okay, back to why you're here. The first thing I want to point out is you may not have an experience for several hours in real life paranormal investigating. Paranormal television shows only show the best of 30 to 45 minutes of an investigation that took place over the course of several hours, days, if not weeks. Yes, they have wardrobe. Yes, they have wardrobe changes, and sometimes they may go to another location after they're done filming in one place, but then they have to go back to that place and change back into the same clothes they were wearing. This means that the clips that you may see on paranormal television shows may not have even been shot on the same day. You could be looking at a shot from Tuesday in September, and then the next shot you look into is the following Monday in October. And as you've probably noticed in paranormal television shows, the first ghostly interaction usually starts within like 15 minutes of the show's start, or it's in the opening to get you drawn into the show. Of course, this doesn't happen in real life. And yet, I'm often asked within 30 minutes of a public ghost hunt where the ghosts are and why aren't they talking. Just because you walk into a haunted location and take a seat and start asking questions, it doesn't mean that things are going to happen right away. Sometimes you're sitting there for a while. And I like to compare it to pruning a rose. These shows are very much just a snip from a much larger flower. You may be seeing 45 minutes of a 24-hour investigation or 45 minutes of a 2-week investigation. And when you splice all of those best moments together, then yes, you have a show. All right, here's another one. TV shows have a budget. Sometimes it means they have flashy tech. Having a budget, a big budget especially, is a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing. The bigger the budget, the higher quality production it will be. This means that the locations will be better. They might be able to go to exclusive places like islands. They can lock down a haunted location and be the only ones there for several days at a time. And also the tech is going to be a lot more extensive. They can bring in like computers and professional grade cameras, and I mean, ghost hunting equipment is expensive as it is, but they can really go far. And I've noticed that the shows really like to use equipment that's very flashy, meaning there's lots of lights going off and sounds going off, and that stuff's expensive. I mean, have you ever paid like $250 for a teddy bear that can talk? Yeah, those are the numbers we're talking about. So this list can go on forever. then in real life paranormal investigating, sometimes you're working with people who won't have any equipment, and that's okay. They're more there for like the experience and not necessarily for the data logging. At least that's my experience. But also, with a smaller budget, I mean, you're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, driving yourself, staying at the low budget motel down the street, drinking really cheap coffee. It's definitely not the glamorous road trip experience, you know, like what you might see the Winchesters doing on Supernatural. Not saying Supernatural is a ghost hunting show. Well, won't go into that. Also, this is a big difference between paranormal TV and real life paranormal investigating. It might be boring. Yeah. Ghost hunting television shows are exciting to watch. There's music, dramatic clips, voiceovers, spooky pictures, and more. Also, this makes paranormal investigating look really glamorous and dramatic. Like, did you just scratch me? Show yourself in the name of Jesus Christ. Like, oh my gosh, it's so dramatic, but really you're kind of sitting there in the dark alone with crickets chirping. It's not surprising that these television shows have managed to recruit most people in the paranormal community. A lot of people started off as TV watchers, or they had their own personal experiences, watched TV, and realized, oh, hey, there's people out there actually doing this. That's my camp. I had experiences when I was a kid, and then I started watching Ghost Hunters a little bit, and I'm like, oh, there's people doing this. Interesting. And they have teams. Okay. Real paranormal investigation isn't nearly as interesting as you see on TV. It's much quieter, but it's just as fulfilling if you set your expectations realistically. Here's another one that bugs me sometimes. Not everything is out to get you. It's not like the Scooby-Doo monsters where they're chasing you through the building. That's not how it works. If anything, sometimes it's the other way. Like the ghost hunters will go into a location, and sometimes I feel like the ghosts are like, oh crap, it's another group, we need to go hide. But in most scenarios I've encountered, these spirits are merely people. Paranormal reality TV makes it seem like the spirits and entities are out to get the stars of the show. One of my favorite moments in a TV show was when the star was demanding that the spirits show themselves, and you hear on their device they say, "Do we have to?" That's gonna be me as a ghost, by the way, like, show yourself, spirit. Do I have to? So how delightfully human is that, by the way? All in all, the entities that reside at a location are merely trying to get by in the afterlife, if you want to look at it that way. They aren't monsters that are trying to get you, like you walk out of a doorway and you see the hands trying to get them. That's not how this works. Okay, here's another thing. Provocation isn't the first thing you should be doing. This is probably the biggest negative when it comes to paranormal reality TV that really, really bugs me. And I've noticed this when I take new people out on investigations, they immediately start provoking. It's not necessarily their fault, it's because of the shows that they're watching. That's usually the go-to thing to do when you're trying to get a ghost to talk. But I'm gonna be real with you right now because you've made it this far into the video, you deserve honesty. Provocation is a jerk move. Plain and simple. Yes, it's entertaining, it makes great television because it usually gets a response. But have you seen what happens to the television stars when they provoke? They get hit, they get scratched, they get bit, supposedly, they get pushed. The list goes on. Think of provocation like this. You walk into somebody's home, you just start sitting on their furniture, you start demanding that they show themselves or do this, knock on the door. You're gonna get smacked. You wouldn't walk into someone's home and start provoking them. So how is it okay to do that during a paranormal investigation? Yes, the spirits may be deceased people, but they are still people and you don't treat them like that. Their humanity and their feelings and emotions are still there. In Ghost 101, according to Alex. Really, the only reason to provoke is to get a response. Think of how these paranormal investigators on TV are provoking spirits, and think about how you would feel if they were saying those things to you right now while you're alive. What would you do? You would probably feel a bit intimidated. You might feel threatened. Provoking, just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not acceptable when one is alive, let alone doing it to someone who has since passed. All right, here's my last big point. What we need to remember is television is entertainment. You must remember that paranormal reality television is a part of the entertainment business. Their goal is to entertain and maintain and elevate ratings. You will never see the entire story played out on camera. You'll see snippets instead. While there may be some truths to some shows, that's not always the case with every show on TV. At the end of the day, they're making these shows to make money. They are trying to gain and maintain and grow an audience. This means they have a storyboard, there are writers, there's a story that needs to be told, there's a beginning, middle, and end. There's a message, a story they want to tell, and they have to decide and figure out how they are going to do it. That means that the people you see on TV have to be entertaining, they have to be interesting. This is why maybe some investigators who have been doing this for 20, 30 years, maybe this is why they don't have a TV show, because they don't have that camera presence, or they aren't willing to go with the production company's requests to make things interesting. We really have to look at this as it's entertainment. It's meant to entertain. Full disclosure, most paranormal shows are not targeted towards paranormal investigators. They are targeted towards regular people. We're talking Joe Schmo, coming home from his day job in IT, turning on the TV and seeing ghost hunting. It's not meant for Chatty Cathy, who's been investigating for 20 plus years and knows the ins and outs of spirits and ghosts. You may see Chatty Cathy as a guest on one of these shows, but you might not see her as the star. Kind of brings me into another tangent about how these shows don't really have a female lead, but anyway, that's a whole tangent for another time. There's a message, there's an aesthetic that they are trying to sell. In regular ghost hunting, you're not gonna see that. This is why a lot of times investigations are boring, like I mentioned earlier. They take a long time. You're not seeing the entire picture. You're also not seeing the hours and hours that paranormal investigators go through when they're going over their data. If you're at a paranormal investigation for 4 hours and you have 4 audio recorders, that's 4, 8, 12, 16 hours of audio data that you have to go through. Same thing with cameras. However long you're investigating, that's how long you are going through the data per camera. It can take a while, and this is the one part that shows don't really showcase. I mean, you still get to see the cool data at the end, but you don't see the process. And that's probably the biggest difference with real life ghost hunting, real life paranormal investigation, and what you see on television. You don't see the process. You see those best moments like I talked about. And what you see on a paranormal reality television show is the result of hundreds of pieces being put together. There's an entire crew working behind these shows. Look at the credits at the end of one of your favorite ghost hunting shows. You'll see how many people are involved. It's amazing. I mean, they truly are making magic, even if it's magic that I don't agree with all the time. These shows are the result of a team that's dedicated, and they're contributing something to the table. What are the biggest differences that stood out to you? What was the big difference between paranormal reality TV and real life paranormal investigation that really spoke to you? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and click on that notification bell. And feel free to share this video with your friends and family who also enjoy the spooky stuff and enjoy paranormal reality television shows. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.